here's Brody Brazil.
You know, of all the different team and stadium and public funding storylines going on these days, the situation in Cincinnati was definitely not on my radar. So let's bring you up to speed. That's Paycor Stadium, home of the Bengals. It's been around for almost a quarter century. It's right on the river. It's right downtown. They've got some practice fields right next to it. It's a pretty simple to understand NFL football stadium. Very serviceable. I don't know that there's anything instantly wrong with it. But what if I told you that in Hamilton County, they are considering doing this to Paycor Stadium, to upgrade it by putting a roof on it? Now, I realize in Cincinnati, Ohio, there may be some inclement weather on occasion, but not a heavy snowfall, not a heavy place in the summertime where you'd need to be indoors, but they are considering making that outdoor stadium into an indoor dome situation. I would imagine that also means replacing the playing surface to make it artificial turf. So let's kind of rewind and give you the background first on Paycor Stadium. Again, none of this was really on my radar until I found out this week that something like this was under consideration. The stadium opened in 2000. It seats 65,000 plus, 65,515. It cost $455 million to build back then, which is about sub $1 billion in 2024 money. The Bengals lease ends in 2026, and that's why the owner, Hamilton County, right now is considering some type of upgrades. They're trying to meet the standards of the Bengals and of the NFL and different teams. They're trying to make sure that they've got the stadium in a reasonable spot so that a new lease can begin and so that the Bengals will stay. But yeah, the lease ending definitely has to do with the possibility of upgrading this stadium. And that happens a lot, right? The timing of all this, the team lease and upgrades that are asked for or least requested, or in this case, investigated. By the way, Hamilton County named after Alexander Hamilton. I mean, you probably could have figured that out, but yeah, Hamilton County owns Paycor Stadium. And so Hamilton County is the one that's considering upgrades, considering renovations to the stadium. They commissioned two different construction firms to study a proposed dome. There's a circular version of it, and then there's the rendering, which you just saw, kind of more of that arched version. The cost of the research alone and the study, $139,000. So yeah, even the study didn't come very cheap. But in the bigger picture of cost, if they go ahead with a roof, it's going to cost anywhere from $903 million to $1.05 billion. Isn't that crazy? I mean, not long ago, even within the last decade, you'd be talking about building a whole brand new stadium. Seats and concourses and club areas and locker rooms and facilities, all that stuff in total for maybe sub $1 billion. And now adding this roof alone, just the roof structure, could be close to $1 billion, depending on the estimate, depending on which design and how they move forward with this. Isn't that amazing? Adding a roof to a 25-year-old stadium could cost $1 billion. Put that into perspective of all the other construction projects going up these days and the estimates. If a roof alone here in Cincinnati, Ohio is $1 billion, imagine what some of these new stadiums across the country are bound to cost in their entirety. So the initial reasoning, why would they even propose doing a dome on a stadium that's existed without a whole lot of problems? Let's be honest, it's not like we're up in Minnesota here. Alicia Reese is the Hamilton County Commission president. This is what Alicia said on October 10th. So a couple weeks ago. Have we looked into a dome? I want it presented so everybody knows what's on the table. Did we look at a dome and the pro forma of a dome? Not just the cost, but 20 years from now. Is that what we're going to need? With a dome, could it be an arena? Now, again, I'm mostly not understanding the need for this dome, and I don't know that there's an instant desire for this dome, but there is one takeaway which I'll get to at the end. I do understand that you might be making this more of a multi-purpose facility. You might be opening up the doors of capability of this building because it's inside. Yeah, maybe you can have a basketball team or a hockey team play there, obviously, if it's indoors and especially during the wintertime. But that's what Alicia Reese was asking back in early October. Now that the study has come out and renderings have come out, here's an instant reaction from Denise Driehaus, Hamilton County Commission Vice President. Denise says this, quote, "I don't think it's practical. Never mind our climate. I'm not sure it dictates that we need a dome. The Bengals don't want a dome. I haven't heard a lot of clamoring for the dome myself. End quote. And therein lies maybe the start, middle, and end of this. If nobody's really motivated to move forward, why would Hamilton County try and scrounge up $1 billion to make this happen? We go back to Alicia Reese, who has these comments and kind of a final response, and maybe more of a reasoning of why Alicia wanted to go through all of this. Quote, "We got to make sure we're not going to come back here in a couple years and say, we got to do a dome. Tennessee is doing it. The Browns are getting ready to do it. All of our competitive sets are moving in that direction, and I don't want the NFL to come back and say, now we want everybody to have domes. And then all of a sudden, we're scraping and scrambling." End quote. So I can understand. I get the reason, and I get the asking of the question, and I get the research, and I get the, maybe even the study to cost $140,000. Okay, but at least you did that study. Now you know what this costs, and now you know it's probably not worth it. Again, I also understand making this more of a multi-purpose venue than just outdoor football, but if everything is kind of pointing in the direction of no, then maybe this project should probably be a no. And here's my takeaways beginning with this. Who's asking for the dome here? Like I said, fans are not complaining about the weather or being outdoors or whatever, you name it. I don't know that a football team strategically, if they're used to playing in the cold weather, especially in the later months of a football season, that goes towards them. A lot of teams will tell you it's their home field advantage. In Kansas City, the Chiefs ownership has said they don't want to put a dome over Arrowhead Stadium. They want it to be outside. Their football team is used to playing in that climate late in the year, and they want to make it hard on opposition teams that are not used to that. Also sinking about $1 billion into a 25-year-old facility. I mean, what about the rest? What about the rest of the building? You understand the mismatch you're about to have. Concession stands and bathrooms and seating areas and common spaces that are all 25 years old, and then a nice new shiny roof to cover it all? I mean, maybe starting from scratch is the better idea, but location, and that's obviously in a pretty good location. Who's going to pay for this? I know Hamilton County is considering these upgrades because they want to try and get the most out of the next lease with the Bengals, right? If you upgrade, it's kind of like selling a house. That's why you fix it up before you sell it. Same situation here. Hamilton County wants to fix up the stadium, ask for more over all the years, maybe get more years out of the lease, but who's going to pay for the fixer-upper costs? And yeah, again, it makes sense if there was an NBA team right around the corner that was coming to Cincinnati. I don't think that's the case. Or an NHL expansion team. And the mayor or anybody else in town is saying, hey, we've got a team coming here, and so we can use this venue multi-purpose for wintertime and hockey. But really, then you're playing hockey in a football-sized and shaped stadium, even if it has a roof. It doesn't all entirely make sense. It would be more logical if you could find more purposes for the stadium with a roof, but I don't know that that's the case. And so that's what makes me think of all this. It's just probably not going to happen. So again, of all the stadium and team and public money situations going on, I really wasn't paying attention to Cincinnati. I didn't know they had an issue, didn't realize the lease was up, but this is something under consideration. And again, it just goes to show you how expensive all this stuff is here in 2024 and beyond. $1 billion to just throw a roof on top of a stadium. That's the end of this video. Thank you for making it to the end. Thumbs up down below greatly helps me and this channel and this video grow. And by the way, before it ends, do me one more quick favor. Go down there and make sure that you are already subscribed to this channel. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.